It's alive. It's alive. It's alive!
Good evening.
That's scary. Hold on.
Hold on.
Yeah. What?
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's finished.
Too scary.
It was too scary.
Here we go. Hello.
Hi guys. We're just so excited. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. My goodness, we've got a show for you tonight.
Oh boy. Thank you so much. We asked you all to send in your questions and comments about the album, and we've got loads of those, and we've got behind the scenes stuff to share with you. And of course, we have our special Boo eyeball cocktails to share.
Oh yeah, where's mine?
Dripping with blood.
I think mine's over there somewhere. I'll go and grab it.
Well, I'll wait. We can't toast yet. Although we have a lot to celebrate. Should we think about how far back, how far we've come?
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, thanks everyone for joining us. I've got something that shows me, hello everyone, hello.
You can see your
birthday.
comments.
I can see your comments. It's amazing. It's the beginning of a new world. Yeah, so what was it, a year and a half ago?
June 22.
We started this BOOcast in order to document the recording of this album.
Yeah.
And I don't think we thought it was going to take this long, did we?
Well, we didn't realise we were going to start making a TV show at the same time.
Yeah, it kind of just sort of happened. But here's a little flashback to the good old days. This is from the very first BOOcast. You might remember the whiteboard.
And then over here is the whiteboard, where all of these are songs that we've kind of got rough in-progress demos. Some of them are just, a beat, basically, with a melody, and yeah, we're working on these for the album.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go back to our little chairs. So, I mean, that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
It was. What a journey we've been on.
Yeah, that whiteboard. God, it's seen some action, I can tell you.
The album is officially out today, but
yes.
Luckily the boosters got it a bit earlier, and so did reviewers. And we've been very lucky to have some amazing reviews coming in from the likes of Louder Than War there. We've got a really, really good review. Thank you, Louder Than War, for your rave review. And also, I was going to show it on the computer, but actually I have a copy of the magazine right here. Hold on.
Hello. Magazine, eh? Magazine.
Boo are in print, baby.
Oh, wow.
In this month's issue of Blitz. Not only that, what's at the start? Devo, John Fox, David Bowie, Brian Ferry, and right at the bottom, battery operated orchestra. Yeah, so pick up a copy of this wonderful magazine from your local newsagent, and you will find our music in there and lots of other cool bands being reviewed.
Totally arrived.
We've arrived.
Mentioned in the same list as Devo.
I know. Woo. What could be better?
So yeah, thanks. I mean, you've been all saying some lovely things about the album, and I'm very, very relieved. It's good to hear your feedback, because you probably remember I was about 2 months ago. I was probably going, I don't know what's going on, because it's a very strange situation when you don't know what's happening.
We'll share a bit of that journey later tonight.
Let's have a look. So thank you very much for your congratulations. Richard Griffiths, thank you very much. Yes, and Coffee Jesus, fantastic. We're going to the cinema. We've got some lovely people here in tonight. All of you. Yeah, bless you all.
And thank you so much for being here live. We know that was a clock's changing thing, so there's a bit of a time difference, but thank you for managing to figure it out. I'm hopeless with clocks and time changes and time zones.
I mean, it's being from Australia, you never know what's going on, do you?
You guys are all like high IQ as far as I'm concerned to figure this stuff out.
Trying to phone your folks up and
I still can't figure it out after all this time. Anyway, should we share the first of our video submissions?
So some of you very, very kindly sent in some videos, questions for us, and we'll try and answer them about the album. So this is our first one, and it's from... Who's it from?
Mokker's.
Mokker's stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hi Bridget, hi Chris, it's Paul here, aka Mokker's Stuff. Just wanted to say, love the album. As a booster, I was fortunate enough to be able to get a sneak preview ahead of today's launch. Love it, absolutely love it. Love the instrumentals, track 6 and 12, and I'm not going to name any other favourites because they all bring their own thing to the party. But the one thing I will say is track 11, Lullaby, would not look out of place if it were to accompany a Halloween noir type of short spooky video. Absolutely love it. You've absolutely nailed it, guys, and I wish you all the very best of luck with its launch. I'll see you tonight. Take care. Oh, by the way, which one of you was the mastermind behind the artwork? Because it's very good. Happy Halloween, guys. See ya.
Nice one. I see what you did there.
Thank you so much, Mokkers. That's awesome. And yeah, very well spotted. Many people, well, a few people spotted the artwork, a few people didn't. We have one comment from Simon Forsyth. He said, for a scary moment there, looking at the picture, I thought maybe you were hosting the new series of The Apprentice. That is the zone we're in there in that picture, isn't
So
it?
just feel a bit like, thanks for that, Simon. There's the picture, and there's the original.
That's the real inspiration.
Those of you that remember it probably, of an age.
I'd never heard of Mastermind, but when you showed me that picture, I was like, yes, this is perfect. That's exactly the right
Of course you hadn't,
time.
you were a child. So should we tell the story about the Mastermind picture?
Yes.
The original one?
Yes.
So I'll just cut back to it, actually. The gentleman was a hairdresser from Leicester.
Yeah.
So Invicta Plastics, they were basically a plastics company, and they just said, we'll manufacture this. And they just ran around the streets of Leicester looking for someone to be in their front cover, and they found I've forgotten their names. Do you remember their names?
No, I can't remember their names.
And the young lady is actually the smart one because she's a physics MA, PhD or something.
She's
and they found
qualified in a science.
and he's a hairdresser. So there you go. There's the behind the scenes.
And unbelievably, just like a week ago, we were in our local op shop or charity shop. Op shop's the Australian vernacular, and we found this word Mastermind. So we picked it up, and oh god, it's quite tedious. I think real Mastermind might be better because it's not
really hard.
It's hard, but it's also because you're guessing one person's thing. The other person kind of just has to sit there and go, "No, you didn't get it yet."
Yeah, but I mean, if you haven't tried Mastermind, you give it a go. It's basically, little coloured pegs.
I like it. Yeah, it's harder than you think. Yeah. Very good. Anyway, I'll put that away.
Yeah, put it away. In fact, we're going to sell that, I think, because it's we didn't enjoy it very much. We have been playing chess still, though, which is nice.
Yeah.
You're still ahead of me.
Still, just. Although we played speed chess and you beat me.
Yeah. I think, actually, we are basically, I'm the hairdresser and you're the physics PhD. I think that's how it goes.
How does that mean you're faster than me when you're fast? Well, when we play fast, you're better.
Speed snipping, I've got to be good at that.
Yes, that's it.
Speed snipping.
Because you asked who was the mastermind behind the artwork. So, yeah, Chris was the mastermind behind that particular image, but we worked on it together. And quite early on, I had the idea of doing sort of lino cut prints for the cover. Initially, I was thinking it'd be really cool to print each one individually, but that was an undertaking that we didn't have time to do. So, I'll show you this little video about making that artwork.
Here it is.
Shall we?
I'm just looking at all the... I had Grandmastermind with shapes too, says Gary G.
With shapes.
Mind melting.
Amazing.
Anyway, here's a little clip of us doing the artwork. Here we go.
Yes, I'm going to talk about it through it.
Okay,
see if I
you're
can
going to keep
up.
talking? Okay, here we go.
So I started by sketching these ideas down for the lyrics to each track during an early listening session. And I wanted to create sort of iconic 2-color lino cut prints, like totemic images for each track. So I sketched a bunch of designs and then I whittled them down for the album, just in Sharpie because it helps me keep bold and not get too precious about details. There's all sorts of, I think, there's a scythe, there's an explosion, or is it the sun? There's people being chased. So I took that digitally and printed out the outline. at the right size. I think, not quite 12, 10 inches, I think I printed it. And then did the old lead pencil transfer onto the lino cut rubber. A skill which I haven't used for many years, but it's a good old trick to use if you ever need to transfer something. Of course, it had to be the reverse side. And then I started carving out the image, 2 versions, one for the blue print and one for the orange print. One is basically the key, one's the bird. That red thing in my hand is a guard so that you don't, accidentally stab yourself in the hand with the very sharp lino cutting tools. Initially, I had these kind of rays of sort of light coming out of the bird, but they were a bit too fussy, so I ended up planing them all right down flat so that they didn't end up showing through on the design. And then, so I created 2 boards. Yeah, the ink took a really, really long time to dry. So I did...
Are you going to ink that up now?
Yeah, I'm going to ink this up. Beautiful. I was obsessed with this rich ultramarine blue. And, that kind of vibrant, almost UV type of blue I wanted for the cover. So I just did these rough prints on some old bits of paper I had lying around as tests. I forget what that stamper thing's called, the buffer thing, flatten it all out. And they came out really nice. I love this blue and sort of different levels of thickness there. But 4 days to dry. Took ages. And then you just have to press it with your finger, and at last, no ink came away. So then I was ready to do the second pass. But with the second pass, I just discovered that the orange just laid right on top of the blue, which is not the effect I was after. I wanted the blue and the orange to blend together and form a sort of black. But you need to use extender and different mediums for that, and it takes a long time to get it right. So I just scanned the individual designs digitally and put them together and got the effect that I was after. So, that's kind of how that worked. And then...
So we went with that orange and blue thing quite early on.
Yeah.
We tried a lot of different colours and we just thought,
Yeah, I was initially
keep it
trying
simple.
like pink and green, but it looked a bit, I don't know, Halloween-y, I suppose.
Keep it printy.
But yeah, I wanted it printy. I wanted it super blue. You can line up the next thing if you like. And so I made it this super blue. And although I wasn't able to do all the artwork as prints, because it takes so long, 4 days for the ink to dry and all of that, and we were making videos and all this other stuff at the same time, I used those original lino prints, all of them. I scanned them and got the texture of the ink digitally, so that I was able to illustrate everything digitally with a Cintiq, so I can draw on the screen and then bring in those actual real textures, so it feels like real prints.
So it's a real thing. So some of you did receive some of the original sort of test prints. So
Just
congratulations if you got those. There were
benefits you get from watching BOOcast live.
If you're a booster, you had a chance to do that and everything.
Yeah.
So should we move on to our next question?
Yeah, let's have another question.
So we had another question from somebody, and who can it be? Who's it going to be?
Who's it gonna be?
Here we go. Thank you very much for sending your questions in. We're going to try and get to them all. Oh, you know what?
There are more in the chat. I'll write them down in our little breaks.
We won't be able to. Here we go.
Hey, it's a massive congratulations from me to the both of you for getting to this stage. And I know it's been quite a process and a mission to get here, but it's been totally worth it. The album absolutely rocks. I hope loads of people get to hear it. We'll try and do our best to make sure that's the case as best as we can. Meantime, I'm going to raise a glass to you tonight. I know that you're going to be doing the same. And here's to everyone else here in the BOOcast tonight and going forward, those that get to listen to this album. Hope you enjoy it. I certainly do. And Booze, you can relax now. It's out.
Sorry, thank you, Andy. That was just like the Andy McCreeth there, who's part of Sonic State. He had an immeasurable impact on the final sound of the album, in my opinion. We were sending him rough masters. I think we went through about 5 before we got it right, and he was checking them on his beautiful Graham Audio LS5s, and we really trust those speakers, even though we weren't in the room with them, until we finally were in the room with them.
Yeah.
And we got to sit down and listen to the album, and we were terrified.
It was a nerve-wracking experience because they're very exposing.
Yeah, totally. We'd heard some albums. We heard The Bug on those, and everything else we'd listened to sounded great. Lots of really well-recorded music, and then we went, let's hear that. put it on, and it sounded not very good. It sounded very flat. So they were very revealing, and we were both quite. Well, I was especially worried.
We were like, just one track. Let's just listen to one.
I just didn't want to have to go through another month of trying to get it sounding the way it did in my head. But it did.
So thank you, Andy. And yes, it has been stressful at times, and we can relax now. Oh my God, it's so good to be here celebrating with you guys and relaxing and just rejoicing at the fruits of all this labor.
Yeah.
Shall we look at some more of the labor?
I think I'm basically tape op tonight, aren't I?
Yeah, sorry, there's a lot of clips.
Here we go. So here's another little bit from the making of the album. Brie, we were very, very well. You really filmed a lot of the process.
Yeah,
so it's great.
I wanted to document the stuff and stuff that we weren't necessarily sharing on every BOOcast, so that we could share it all now.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff. Here we go. Here's a little clippy. Here we go.
Been doing test prints. Test print of the booklet there. Lovely matte photo paper, which has really good colour. This one has come out a bit murky. Not really happy with it, so we've messed with the values to see if we can get something closer to this, or in fact this, the actual lino print, which is a lovely cobalt blue. We settled on 20% more lightness, so we reprinted it. Looking better. It's not going to be as bright as that because it's not photo paper, but it's pretty good compared to the actual print. Okay, we're doing test prints.
Do not scale. See what happens.
This is using the same net as Yesterday, Tomorrow and You, which we have a copy of here. Okay, so see how this goes. Meanwhile, we've made a test booklet just on the old printer to get an idea of how things run and to be able to proof it.
What's going on?
Sometimes this printer doesn't like grabbing a card. We can't just put in 10 sheets at a time. We have to feed them in gently, one at a time. It likes to have its handheld. There you go. These guys, they give us grief, but they do help us make good stuff.
This one's lasted 10 years.
This one's lasted 10 years. 10 years. How do we keep it alive?
Russian hackers.
Yes. Russian hackers increased our page count.
There's the new one.
New one's
I
ready
haven't
to
even
go.
plugged it in yet. I'm kind of dreading it.
Yeah.
Printers are horrible. Horrible things.
This is our first test of the cover.
When you use the printer in any of the photo modes, it only uses one of the black ink cartridges. There are 2 black ink cartridges in there. When it's in plain paper mode, it uses both, so there's more contrast and the blacks are blacker.
Plain paper mode is the only way to get the blackest blacks, unless you do a lot of messing around with the printer dialogue. Illustrator keeps saying, cannot print the file as well, so we have to do a crazy workaround for that. It's been a long day. A lot of printing. Let's just lick ourselves till we feel better.
It's over. That's good. That was quick.
Sorry, that was quick. We're taking notes. Oh, we're back. We're back in the room.
We're back.
So
it's
yes.
completely professional. We've got this under control. Let's do this.
That particular episode, the printing, was almost too bleak to share on the BOOcast because it was just such a hard time. It doesn't look, I guess, yeah, it was just very drawn out.
We went through some hell with the booklets as well. I don't know if you were going to mention that. There's a company we need to get our booklets made by. And is the sound okay out there, by the way, just in case? Oh, I seem to have closed this. I'm
sure does it sound okay to you? You've got the monitor.
I'm getting a little bit of distortion, but I'm not sure what's actually happening. Anyway, there we go. Yes, I know there's drinks on the table. It's all too much, I tell you. Take over.
Yes. So, printing the CDs. Yes, it was quite difficult. And it just takes a lot of trial and error. We had a comment, actually. Someone was like, wow, these are brilliant, and you make them by hand. Where did you get the design or the templates, or do you get them, printed and then you put them together? And it's like, No, we just do it all ourselves, and it's just through trial and error, testing stuff out.
The video's up if you want to see how we did it. It's there. How we make CDs, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Yesterday, Tomorrow and You net is the same, and it's in our Bandmade videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
And if you do want the nets, you just join us as a booster on Bandcamp, where you can get loads of bonus goodies. So yeah, the
and
printing.
Thank you, all of you who are boosters. It's just been amazing, the support we've been getting from you all.
It's been incredible,
and it's been really, really helpful, because it's been quite a pricey process doing this, and you helped us. We had to get a new printer halfway through. We had to stock up on a whole bunch of stuff, and it really helped hell of a lot. And thank you ever so much. We
can't thank you enough, guys. Really, I mean, it's just it makes it really possible. So thank you.
Yeah. So the title of this video is Making CDs.
Yeah. Well, this is for you, because you are the one who was primarily responsible for putting together the CDs.
What am I expected to say?
I thought you knew. You said you were going to talk about this.
Let's have a look. Okay. So well, there's a stack of CDs there. There you go.
It's basically about how much
the whiteboard.
Physical labour is involved in putting them together.
It takes a lot. I've actually had quite a serious back problem since we finished making them. I've just bought a tens machine. There's me sitting, and these chairs are not as good as they're cracked up to be. And
they're good for sitting and staring at a computer.
I liked this bit. This was putting them together with you. That was nice.
That's
it was
the
nice
fun bit.
to get that sort of sorted. And there it is. Fantastic. The album as it came out.
I included this bit because it was like at least a solid month of you hunched over a desk, cutting, folding, gluing,
totally.
printing, burning CDs.
But hey, there's my copy.
Yeah.
I got one.
That's mine. I've got one. Mine's signed.
Yours is signed. Yours is, you've got a rubbish one. It slightly failed.
Unique flaw.
But so if you're the lucky recipient, look, the focus has gone all wrong. Focus on my face.
Just put a lot of
facial expressions,
heart and soul into these things, And
yeah, totally.
Want you guys to know it's because we care.
Well, I think it shows.
But we don't include the labour costs in the costs of the CD, because then it would be prohibitively expensive.
Yes, it would. It's ridiculous. But we have, thanks to your guys and your pre-orders, we have broken even, which is absolutely brilliant. You're probably interested in what the money is and everything and whatever. We can talk about that if you like. Put it in the chat. Don't want to be so what's the word, uncouth as to talk about cash, but we are very happy because we have made the money back that we put into it,
and that's just from pre-orders,
which is great,
which is just incredible.
It's just
and
great.
So hopefully it will, what we'd like to do, I don't know, eventually, we haven't really talked about this in depth, but we're toying with the idea of putting something out on vinyl.
So should we talk about the tracks?
Yeah, okay, let's talk about the tracks.
So we asked you what your favourite tracks were, and we've got a few ones here. Andrew W says it's Always On.
Oh, he says, yeah, Always On is Boo's most earwormy track in a catalogue with many catchy songs. And I think it's the crosstalk between the vocal melody and the synth parts that makes it very hooky. Thank you, Andrew.
It is an earworm.
Yeah, earworming around his head.
I'll be perfectly honest, it's actually quite annoying as well. I found it really, because, when you're mixing and mastering something, you hear it sort of 10 billion times. And that's the track I like the least, I think.
It was really challenging as well, because similarly to Cut Off the Head, initially it was very loud and there was just so much going on in it. It was really hard to strip it down and make it sound clean and energized and not weighed down by all the sounds.
Yes, it was interesting because we'd gone through the recording process and that had all been, we basically worked out the songs. In fact, if we get a minute, could you grab that thing down from the wall? Because I've got a sort of a timetable on the wall that I made for myself, which is, and here it is. So there's the tracks, and that should be the running order. I'm not sure, but as you see, they're stuck on with
blue tack,
and so we can change it around and think about it in different ways. These are the tracks. Okay, finishing touches. There's a track that didn't make it. There's another track that didn't make it. There are several tracks that didn't make it, including this one, Jackdaw.
Yes.
Which is actually kind of what the front cover was about. But there we go. And if you want to know what the artwork means and everything, I have a theory about the artwork, which I'll tell you about in a minute.
Which part? Oh, okay.
We'll do that in a minute.
All right.
But yeah, Always On. Yeah, thank you so much, Andrew W. I'm glad it does. You're not sick of it yet.
I still really like it as well. I've always I get really excited at that bit where it changes. It does the thing when a pop song does that thing where it all changes.
Oh, my eyeball's fallen off. Oh,
yeah,
dear.
I really like it, but it did
there we
become irritating in the process of mixing it. You can.
Maybe I won't.
Be
just
incredibly sweet.
yet. Yeah.
Rambutan.
One of the benefits of being a booster is you have the
recipe
for this very cocktail.
Look at the eyes.
Look at the eyes.
They're blueberries inside lychees.
So yeah, oh yes, yes indeed.
Yeah, I'll eat one. No, I'll get it all over my dress for sure.
So always on. Yeah, thanks. I'm really glad you liked it, Andrew. Again, the reason it kind of became a single is because I just basically started cutting together
the video,
and then we had an idea for the video. Oh, cubes, white room, cubes, and that
terrifying social media.
Yeah, and then it all happened. So there we go. And let's move on to the next one. So yeah.
Lots of love for Killing Girl.
Yeah.
It was instantly catchy when I heard it all those weeks ago. Yeah, we did a live recording of it.
Pause. Go back. No. I'll come to that
just
question.
Press the up arrow.
Oh,
there
yeah.
You go.
I've forgotten.
So we did a live recording of it ahead of our Hastings gig. That was the first time we played it live. Was it even finished then?
No.
I remember struggling to remember the words because it was still in a draft form and I kind of kept moving them around.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of love for Killing Girl. I had another question.
Yeah? About Killing Girl?
Yeah, from the chat just now at the start of the show. Andy N said, is Killing Girl about someone real? It is.
Yes, it is.
He said the words are quite vicious. They are.
She's downstairs
she is vicious.
and she's asleep on the rug right now.
She's very furry.
In fact, I don't know if I should talk about this because it's not entirely, it's a bit toilety, but just 3 days ago, I've been set up to do a demo of something, and I came into the studio and it really stank. I mean, the whole house stank, and I was like, Nixie, what have you done? That's our cat, our Norwegian forest cat.
I was dreaming that a bird had pooed all over my leg, and I was trying to scrub it out, and it wouldn't come out. And I was going, "This is disgusting! I've got poo all over my leg." And then I woke to find Chris.
Horrid. I was walking around anyway. I looked around. The room was quite full of stuff, so I was like, "Where has she done this?" And it was clearly a dirty protest. She woke me up at 3 a.m. asking to be let out, and I just said, "No, you can't go out. There's badgers out there." No, I mean she probably rip the throat of a badger out. But so I found it. I'm sorry, I've got to say, this tiny little piece of very soft something round the back. And thought, right, okay. And I went and got the bleach and the scrubbing stuff, put my gloves on, came in. I was in my socks. I'd just woken up. And as I walked into the room, I went splat on the rug, right on top of a very cold, very wet pile of...
Right between the toes, huh?
Nixie leavings. So this room hasn't quite recovered yet.
No.
It's still haunted.
Yeah. We've scrubbed. Today we've resorted to incense. We've tried HG, odor remover, oust, all the stuff.
Anyway, I'm really, really sorry to share that with you, but that's the Killing Girl. That's who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there we go. Let's go on to
There is another question about Killing Girl here. So what is the synth sound that plays the CDAE line on Killing Girl? It reminds me of the synth line of David Bowie's Ashes to Ashes.
Why is that happening? Let's go up.
So,
yes, that's the wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous, fantastic. Probably can't hear me. It was the McCreeth. It's a lovely sound on the McCreeth. I should do a demo of this one day. I'm just terrified because it's too much. There's too much going on inside this. And Snell, I don't know if you're watching. A friend of ours, he just bought the bigger one, the Biggie Freak, the
bigger freak,
the Mega Freak.
The Macro Freak?
The Giant Freak.
I can't remember the Giant Freak. The Freakazoid.
Largely because I was going on about the McCreeth. I was just saying, yeah, it's great. I love it. It's brilliant. So, yeah, it was the McCreeth. Yes. Another question.
Andrew Van particularly loved Dead News. Wondered if the subject might be called Boris.
Good question. Well, funnily enough, Boris does show up in one of the tracks a little bit obliquely. The opening track, Cut Off the Head, is a very clay and fat and poisoned rags standing Born to Rule. I just had a picture of Boris Johnson made of sewer sludge and rags with his mop of blonde hair standing up like he,
owns the place.
Clearly owns the place, and he does. And we use that in another song. They own the place, don't they?
Yeah,
they only
it's
place,
a
don't they?
recurring theme with us.
Yeah, so that was about Boris. Boris is in this a little bit, but Dead News is very much, we were thinking about the BIT, the Behavioural Insights team in the UK. Now, this was a semi-government department. It's actually just been privatised, which is an interesting and worrying prospect. The Behavioural Insights team was basically largely made of social psychologists and people who were basically playing out their PhDs on the general public, and their job was to basically terrify people as much as possible to getting compliance during lockdown, and that was their job. It really is. Go and check that out. If you don't believe me, it's true.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, in other more sane times, there is a word for people that use terror to get their own way. I won't go there.
Yes, indeed. I also thought it was kind of about the death of the dinosaur media as well, and these people having their only marketable skill is kind of lying and reading off a script and spokesholes,
news models.
Indeed, news models. That's exactly the thing.
So
and then having nowhere left to go.
But that's what that's about. Without getting too political, but I'm sure you
can sense this stuff in our music, can't you? That's why you're here.
You know where we're coming from. Hey, here we go. And so the next one, my favourite
Lots of love.
Oh, All That Rises Must Converge.
Yeah, the whole album is all killer, no filler.
Beautiful.
But I just love
Thank you. That's so. I'm really pleased about that. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say it.
I know. Yeah. Okay. You have to be honest about it.
I'm going to say it. So we've had so much love for this track, and I'm really, really heartened and overjoyed and pleased and happy and everything. It's great. You weren't happy with that at first.
I always liked it. I always loved this track, but what I wasn't happy with was
7 minutes long.
I thought 7 minutes. I wonder if people are gonna have the patience for it, especially because I was in the middle of the PR process of get it all out, make everybody look. And
if it hasn't got to the chorus within 10 seconds,
exactly.
It's not a hit. Yeah.
And then I was, as soon as you were like, no, it has to be 7 minutes, and I was like, okay, well, I'll listen to it. And then I listened. I was like, "Yeah, you're right. You're completely right."
I mean, I'm slightly preempting a question from later on, but there's so much music that I used to listen to as a kid. But David Bowie's "Low," the B side of "Low," "Art Decade." I can't remember the names of the other tracks, but those they're slow and they're beautiful and they just go on. I really love that kind of thing. Somebody's asked how that was made. I'm not sure if I should say that now or if I should wait till later. I'll wait till later. I think it's coming up.
AW said what synth was used for the lovely pad on the final track.
So that track was very simply made. It was the Trigon 6 is playing the pad, and it's a little chord sequence that trips over itself. It's a little bit like, is it William Drake, who used to play keyboards with Cardiacs? I was feeling like that. It was one of those chord progressions that twists around on itself and comes back and does that. Just a little loop, and then the Dominion playing the bass part for that chord. And that was literally just recorded in stereo, just running in. And over the top of that, I did 2 live loops using the Arturia Mini Brute and the Strymon Volante, and that was it. Just 2 of those, and they were just playing bits over and letting them loop back, and they were both in slightly odd lengths, so they sort of tripped over each other as well, and that's how that was built.
I love, actually, there was a bit when we were listening to it, and you were like, no, listen to it, and it needs to be 7 minutes, and I did listen to it. I love it's one of those tracks where I hear lots of phantom sounds, and when we listened to it at that stage, it was quite early in the mixing process, and I was like, oh, you could add this and that and emphasize these sparkles, and you decided not to, and I think it's all the better for it, because you just get presented with these lovely phantom ghosts of melodies and sounds coming in and out of your head, and I love that when you can't tell if it's there or if you're imagining it. It's very rich. And
one of those things about lovely long ambient sort of slow tracks, I really love Thomas Kohner. Actually, my friend Andrew Clare introduced me to that. We know a lot of Andrews, don't we?
We do.
Thomas Kohner, I can't remember where he's from. I think he might be Swedish or Switzerland, or I don't know where he's from actually. But he plays gongs, but it's brushed gongs. And there's an album by him called Permafrost. And it's all like 10-minute long tracks, and it's just and It's really beautiful. And the thing about that kind of music is that you sort of go through phases with it while you're listening to the track. You sort of, this is nice. Oh, what am I doing for dinner? Oh, am I listening to music? Is this still on? It's the same track. And you go through all these little sort of permutations in your brain as the track continues. And I just wanted that. I always love ending an album with a goodbye. And I felt like it needed it because there's so much frenetic stuff going on.
He keeps going and focusing something back there. Is there a ghost in the studio?
Oh, if you see anything behind us, do let us know, won't you? It's done it again.
Oh, well.
It's done it again. Anyway, that's...
There is one more question on this. Yeah. Andrew Neagle asked, what is the recording of at the end of the track? I've been trying to work it out.
Yes, what's the recording at the end of track 12? So that, again, is All That Rises Must Converge. Now, that is... And by the way, that's not a reference to the Shriekback track. It's
sorry, a few... Don't press play on it, just use the arrows.
Okay.
So, Shriekback, Everything That Rises Must Converge. It's a reference to the same thing, which is a short story by Flannery O'Connor.
Mm-hmm. Who she was was. I don't think she's still alive.
No, she died quite young, unfortunately.
And she was an American novelist and short story writer. She wrote
Wise Blood.
Wise Blood, which is a great film. If you haven't seen it, do check out Wise Blood.
It's really good. She writes stories about the South in the early 60s, late 50s, and she's just a really gifted writer. And
really heavy with atmosphere and it's one of those sort of, I hate to say magical realism, but kind of
It's not magical realism.
It's not, but there's lots of poignant stuff.
It's the bizarreness of reality. I think
that's it.
Yeah, there's no heightened. There's nothing magic. Yes,
it's not magical. It's not magical realism. Ignore me. I didn't mean that.
But yeah, I got having seen Wise Blood a couple of years ago. I was absolutely blown away, and I was like, I need to read this woman's work. And I got a compendium of her short stories, and there's one in there called "Everything That Rises Must Converge," and we were just like, wow, no, that's what that is. And
I looked this phrase up because I was asked. It was actually Andy Mack. You asked me, "Is this a Shriekback reference?" And I went, "No, it's about this book." And then I looked for the book, and I found a place where the concept came from. And I can't remember what sect of Christianity it is, but it's the idea that we're all taking different roads, and as we all rise and get better and better at what we do, gradually we will all come together at the same sort of place, because even though we've come from completely different places. And I really liked that idea, especially in the dark times we're living in and the strange times that we're living in. The idea that if we all just keep our journey going, we will come together.
Yes.
That's the thing. And I wanted something positive. I know it doesn't seem positive, really, but because the whole film is it feels like a film. The whole album is actually full of quite a lot of quite negative sort of things, although we're trying to make it as bright as possible.
Well, we explore the darkness and the light. You know, there's tracks like Always On, which is about the absolute horror of social media and all of that. And then there's tracks like
Cut Off the Head, which is about, our leaders can't be trusted anymore.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. And you may notice the fallen king on the back page of the booklet. It's resign. They must
resign.
We must take over. We're ruled by criminals. I think we all know that now.
Kleptocracy.
As soon as you work that one out, they're all criminals. Oh, of course. They're all up to something. They're all on the make.
That makes sense now. Yeah. Not to say that there aren't good people working within the system, and I really admire those people because they have a whole lot more chutzpah than I do.
Anyway, let's move on. There's one more.
One more comment. Paul Ranger's favourite track, basically the last 6 tracks. For me, this is your best album to date.
That's
interesting because
Thank
that's side B. We did design it with a side A and a side B, which you probably noticed from the instrumental at the end of each side. And so, I'm glad you enjoyed the second track. But yeah, he's not the only one. I think there was one more person. Steve Wilkins, in my opinion, it's your best release yet. Just superb. I put this one in here because he says you really changed it up on this one on what we expect from Boo. And I just was like really glad to hear somebody say that because, it feels different for us. Every album we make feels different. And
sorry. Bree's nudging me to hit the switch back button. I'm just kind of, I don't know what's going on
Every
anymore.
album we make feels different and we never know. We just make what comes to us, what is based on our experience and what flows through us to an extent. And we never quite know how it's going to turn out or what form it's going to take, and it's as much a surprise to us as it is to you guys probably. So when you guys connect with it as well, it's very satisfying. It's just like, wow, you guys get it. That's awesome.
It has to be said that also, I mean, from a less textural, text-based reading of the album than just talk about the sound, I think it was a real change for me because I was genuinely quite terrified about what was going on. What is happening to this focus? It's all right.
Just ignore it.
Just ignore it.
We
We're
can
a bit
just
soft
be a bit
focused.
hazy, you know. It's the vibe.
It was a bit of a challenge for me and a bit frightening and a bit strange. After years of thinking I was mixing well, and I think the other albums sound all right, there was a thought of like, oh no, now I've got to go back and do all the others. I don't think I will.
Well, yeah, we had a comment from AW at the start of the show saying road noise doesn't diminish the low end at all. He's been listening to this in his car, and yet it also sounds great on a hi-fi. So really good production.
Oh, did someone ask what that sound was at the end of All That Rises Must Converge?
yes, they did.
Who was that? Was that? Sorry if I missed it. Okay, so we went field recording in London with the H6 and microphones. And now, and this is interesting for me, because it might not be for you. I apologise. But when I was born in Glasgow, my mum and dad moved down to London when I was about, 4? And one of the major things I noticed when I was first in London was the tube. I mean, the tube is an amazing thing. And there's one particular thing that really stuck with me from childhood is the sound that a tube train makes when it's stopped at the station. And it's got a kind of high-pitched whining sound. It's like a little chord. So we were on the new spur on the Northern Line that goes out to Battersea Power Station, which should be called Battersea Power Station Station.
That's
really.
Just too cumbersome.
We went to Battersea Power Station because obviously it's our spiritual home. Not anymore because it's now a mall. Oh, it's horrible. But it's still a beautiful building. But yeah, I tried to capture this sound, but there was also an escalator off to one side which was broken, which was doing that sound going on. And that's what that sound is. I looped it. And I wanted to capture that sound. Now, funnily enough, Gary Newman, I believe, said, you were telling me in an interview recently, he'd sampled some underground sounds because there was one particular sound the tube made that he...
I think
did
I did.
I dream
Yeah,
that?
it was an interview with his sound guy for his live shows, his sound tech.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. It was in a sound technician's magazine. It was very good.
Yeah.
I can't remember, sorry.
I can't remember either. So, yeah, anyway. But yeah, that was what the sound was. Just one of those. There's a few other little noises in between the rest of the album as well. You got to sprinkle a bit of fairy dust on it, as the Trogs might have said.
Yeah.
Anyway, so should we go on to the next? We've got another question for someone. So here we go. I hope you guys are all right. We're just sort of. I haven't even had a chance to look at this, even though it's here. But there we go.
Just go ahead with the question.
I'm going ahead.
Hi Boosters, this is Jörg. My thoughts about the new album Compulsory Games. Another real good album. I enjoyed listening to it very much. I was able to listen to all the tracks, so my favorite is the title song, Compulsory Games. Yeah, I also enjoyed the instrumental pieces. So, yeah, in summary, really well done. Keep on doing that good stuff with your synths so far, and all the best.
Thank you so much, Jörg. Compulsory Games, the title track.
Yes. So we really wanted to do a video for this, and we actually found a video that works with it perfectly. It's the greatest hacker of all time at the Rugby World Cup.
We can't play it, can we?
We can't actually play it, so I will bung the link in the chat. And I actually asked the broadcasters how much would it cost us to use this, because we would absolutely love to use it for a music video. And to license it for 1 year, per minute, £2,000. And it doesn't quite make the full length of the video anyway.
But anyway, if you find, we put the link in the chat, and if you play Compulsory Games and you basically press play after
the mud, the blood, the kneecaps.
The mud, the blood, the kneecaps.
And play this hacker.
And watch this hacker at the same time.
It's incredible.
It's brilliant.
And I went and watched a load of other hackers afterwards, and these women are fantastic. They utterly transform into that warrior face. And there's a brilliant moment right at the end when they kind of relax into their normal faces, and it's like different people. It's just it's powerful, man.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So do check that out. It's a little treat. It's
The Hacker Hack.
the Hacker Hack. Put it on.
For Compulsory Games.
But yeah, that song was I dreamt that song. Now Compulsory Games is another. We're not going to.
It's a British thing.
It's a British thing, but
But it exists in the colonies as well.
But it's also a title of.
Yes.
It's the
It's
title.
the second literary reference in our album.
So if you know Robert Aikman, who is a brilliant creepy story writer, we're both big fans of Robert Aikman. He there's a story of his called Compulsory Games, and I think the title just stuck in my head one night, and I woke up and I realised that I had to write about what happens to you at school when you're forced to do those horrible things. My first day at school, in secondary school, I'm 11. We had our brand new rugby uniforms. It was white with a red strip around the middle, and we're all like tiny little skinny boys, apart from one or two that had obviously shot up far too early. And there's always one or two of those on there. And there we were. It was probably November or October. It was very wet, very cold. We were stood in this field, which, funnily enough, is kind of reminiscent of the field in the first track as well, with the pylons and the hissing and the snow, because they used to stand there looking up at the pylons and going that sound it makes. And then our first lesson was, right, everyone, lie down in the mud and drag yourselves 40 yards on your elbows. And that was our lesson.
Sadists.
I mean, it's bloody child abuse, but
that's horrible.
So that's what Compulsory Games is, and then it goes on to reaching puberty and having a terrible time at school because it's all so glandy. Apologies again, but that's what that song's about. But yeah, do check out the hacker that goes with it. We had fantasies of filming a video.
Oh yeah, we were going to go to the New Haven rugby grounds and get like all the local school involved and get all the kids having a really slow motion taking each other down in the mud.
Violent muddy rugby in slow motion, loads of punching and crunching and all that.
But we'd need a team,
that's doable.
A lot of permissions.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think you could just rock up to schools and ask to film their children.
So yeah,
but yeah, that's there was one other sort of literary reference in the album.
Was there?
It's extraordinarily subtle.
Oh, it's bleak as all hell.
It's in Cut Off the Head, where we say, I say, a something slides away.
Now, if anyone from up north, does that ring any bells? It might not.
I mean, it probably won't, because
a something is gonna change. Jim Cartwright. Road. So a great northern play, first shown in the 80s, played in the 80s somewhere. It's just a really powerful scene from that, and a something.
Well, it was filmed by what's that director? Is Jim Cartwright the playwright?
No.
Is it Jim Cartwright?
Is it Jim Cartwright?
Yeah, Jim Cartwright. Is he the playwright or the director? It's the guy who did the one of the assassins in Ireland as well. I've forgotten his name. Contact, Screen 2.
Yes,
anyway,
great director.
It's a brilliant. It's a visceral, poetic telling of life and poverty, and through these four separate characters
fighting back, and the power of the human spirit, basically, against all odds.
At the end of it, they all come together, sort of chanting a something, and some other bits. But yeah, well. It was on YouTube. You might be able to find it.
You can't get it on YouTube in the UK. You can get it in the States, though. Go check that out. Jim Cartwright, Road.
Yeah.
He also wrote Little Voice, which you're about to send to your dad.
Oh, yeah. Don't spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Dad. I'm sending you other films as well, which will be a surprise.
Sorry about that. I think I may have spoiled your prezi.
No, it's all right. I did tell him ages ago.
Did you?
Yeah, like a year ago.
Don't be mean. Don't be mean to me just because I got it wrong.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. So what's next?
We're going to talk about mixing compulsory games.
Okay, yeah.
And the other tracks. A little bit of a window into the mixing process.
Okay, and apologies, this may not make any sense at all because I was probably on another planet at this point. But here we go.
I basically barged into the studio and started filming him.
Yeah,
talk about it.
Here we go. So here we go. A little bit of mixing. Just going to listen to the drums on their own, see how boring they are. And the bass.
Oh.
the double. I like it.
Trigon, massive. Just give it a little bit more, nearly half a dB.
Cool.
I thought the organ coming in was a bit loud. That's too loud.
So we've got a trial of sound toys, right? And you're using it on Cut Off the Head?
Yes, mainly for mangling, but there is a little bit of distortion on some of the bass as well.
How many vocals tracks are you using on this one?
About only 4 or 5.
Okay, we're having a look at the main vocal line on
Yeah.
Cut Off the Head and the effects stack.
So this is you drawing.
We'll go slow.
Tiny bit
The
of
power lines are hissing in the snow.
tiny bit of melodyne.
Standing in the cutting
Not a lot.
where dead track lines run grey.
A little bit of
We
parallel
cross to
compression. So we got the wet up high, the threshold down low, the attack time. Oh my god, the attack time's quite high. I must have been wanting a bit of punch in there. Now think about it. Okay, there's a gate after the compression, which is a bit weird.
We'll go slow. The power lines are hissing.
Another bit of compression. Again, parallel. So then we got Nectar 3, which is just de-essing. That should be way back there. Anyway, never mind. It's obviously like this because it sounds better like this somehow. And then Microshift is doing some chorus.
We'll go slow. The power lines are hissing in the snow.
And
Lines
finally,
run
we've got
grey.
Chomver.
We cross to where the river overflows.
Just 11% wet.
Something broke.
So this is the Melder charm verb, which is free. It's really, really good. Because these are all demos, I've just bounced them down to here. So the proper voice is here.
Me, we'll go slow.
So that's just bounced. I've also got a distorted version, which is
We'll go slow.
going through Decapitator, and it just seems to warm up.
Me, we'll go slow.
And okay, so the top one's been put through Melodyne. The bottom one hasn't, and there's a few little timing issues. So it's interesting because it's actually the same take, but it sounds like 2 different takes.
Walk with me, we'll go slow. The power lines are hissing in the snow.
Very slightly.
Standing in the cutting.
They're very, very tight, but they yeah. Anyway, I just like them both. We're also using a whole bunch of Sound Toys plugins to get these sort of.
Cut off that.
That's not actually Sound Toys doing that. That's Blue Cat Audio Chorus, and we also got this.
Cut off that. Cut off that.
It's really strange how much like my voice, your voice sounds when it's pitched down. It's like you're a speeded up version of me.
We should pitch your voice up and see if it sounds like me.
There's more here, so. Anyway, we've been living with this song for a while, and it's been kind of stuck in the crawl for ages, and really haven't we? We've been sort of like struggling with it. It was very nearly going to cut it. Yesterday, I made some radical changes. One of the main ones was I just changed the bass part and I played it on the Dominion, and the Dominion sounds like this now. So, and I got some brilliant kicks. And so that boom boom is the original. That's the sound that started this song. Actually, that is the fuse box being mental. It's really, really deep and bassy and rah. That's the guts of this song. And it kind of ran all the way through, and there's these drums here were kind of all the way through as well. Now I've put a gate on here, but I'll take the gate off so you can hear a lot of EQ malarkey going on as well. But you can hear there's loads of reverb. That's a spring reverb and an analog bucket brigade delay pedal. I think the vibe I was going for was that feeling of like, you know, the feeling of being surrounded by bits of metal and cables, and when you drop something, it's kind of echoing off into the distance and the darkness. But it was just a bit much, so I've stuck a gate into. Here's the gate, just to chop it out a little bit. And I really didn't want to do that because I wanted to keep that spacious, open. But it was just too much. Everything was just too much, and I think yesterday we had a sort of a breakthrough, because basically I just what I like about what's going to save this song, and I just went, I've got to sacrifice all the bits I think I love. I've got to just literally cut them. You love this bit, cut it. You love this bit too, cut that. And I did a lot of cutting.
There's a lot of like fine, tiny little cuts there.
There's a lot of chopping going on, yeah. So I mean, I was just basically, so I love to perform synthesizers and sequencing and recording in real time and doing that kind of thing, and you know, treating this as a tape recorder. But really, for this, I don't think there's any other way to go but to get in there with your scissors and chop it up. You know, that's kind of what's happened here. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I've also got a bunch of little 8-bit samples from. There we go. I've had for years, and that's actually the CS1.
It sounds familiar.
I've used it many times.
I'm trying
before.
to think
It's
what
one of my
I
favourite
remember
sounds.
it from.
There it is again.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite sounds, and I made it in 2000 on a really cheap laptop with a Zoom harmonizer, which the really noisy Zoom harmonizer. There you go. So for all these noises, I also had to punch up the snare because the drum snare on these drums weren't good enough. So. Oh, we got the vocal drum as well. Doing this, and basically the vocal drum's doing its probability thing all the way through here. I let it run through the whole song, and I basically chopped out little bits that I liked and put them in the right places, and little bits of fade ins and what have you. So I've got a reverse. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's a reverse cymbal, but I just slowed it down. Which sounds very much like
great.
Sharpening fucking
Cool.
That's the lead in into the chorus. The whole process of trying to make something work has been, first of all, trying to stop hating it after it's been around for so long. And trying to realise what it is that you like about it and what it is you want it to do, and then finding ways of making it do that. And sometimes you have to bin a lot of stuff. Yeah, you can't be precious. You get connected and precious to things. I was so excited about all these drum sounds because they'd gone through my spring reverb and through this and through a band pass, and I'd done this, and I was really proud of myself. And they sound great, but they just didn't work.
Would you say you had to cut off the head?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I think we all need to cut off the head. Right. Okay, there you go. Thank you for watching that.
Bit of an insight there.
Yeah. Did you notice my with now and eye reference? He's sharpening the... I won't swear on live on YouTube. I didn't know. And Brie just walked in here with the cameras and...
Yeah, I just.
It's good. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, because you started describing what you were doing to me, and I was like, "Well, this is really interesting. Let's film this." And yeah, kind of we both have a lot to say on the crafting of the effect stack on my voice. Quite,
do we?
Yeah, because sometimes you want to take it quite distorted, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm not sure. I remember with Tin Can Telephone, you wanted to do this kind of really weird not auto-tuned, sort of vocoder effects underneath it, and I was like, I don't know, it sounds really weird.
I did it in the end, so I did.
But you did do it in the end, and it was good.
Pitchy stuff.
But with this one, I was like, I want this sound of it all going. Like when I go cut off the hair, I want it to all degenerate and fall apart and decay and get all gnarly. Yeah. And I was using, I didn't have quite the right language to describe exactly what I wanted.
We had our demo of the Sound Toys suite and we just used it until it ran out. And I will get it one day when it's less money.
Yeah, it's a brilliant suite.
It was very nice. But yes, so then... any questions?
There's tons of questions.
Okay,
maybe we should have a little look at some of them and then we can go on to the next video.
Okay. Sorry guys, this is taking longer than we thought.
Jesus says he likes Nightclub Mishap. This is a favourite. And also enjoys Lullaby. Likes that deeper vocal on it.
Quite sotto voce. That's my favourite track.
Yeah. Oh.
Yes, it
Bombshell.
is. Along with the last one. Those are my two favourites. I'm really pleased with the way the melody goes and the way the key change happens and just the sounds and everything, and I really liked it. And it's quite a Halloween-y sort of song, it's creepy.
I feel like I have to sit non-committally with James and AW who are like, well, my favourite track is this track that I'm listening to now. And now it's this track because I'm listening to this one. And it's like whatever track you're currently listening to, it's like, this is amazing.
You were listening to
I did. I had a full listen through and I was specifically like trying to pick what's my favourite. And as each track came, I was like, oh, but I love this bit. And then the next one was like, oh, but I love this bit. And, they're each... something that I did say to Chris, which sounded like not very much of a compliment. I was like, I listened to the whole thing and I didn't want to skip any of them.
Yeah,
but it's because, as you're working through them, when you're hearing one over and over and over, sometimes you're like, oh, I just want to get to the other one that I haven't listened to so much.
Yeah, we needed a break.
We needed a break.
I've actually listened to the album through like a good 5 or 6 times now, very loud in a darkened room. And I'm happy with it. It's we're going to go on to a little bit of the mastering process and what we went through to do the mastering. And this is very much, as I say, as we said at the beginning, we're not experts. This is just what we did to do what we did. So I'm not claiming any sort of superior knowledge. I certainly don't consider myself a great mastering engineer of any sort, because obviously people should send their music off to mastering engineers to have that thing done, but I don't. But yeah, what was it?
You were going to talk about mastering, which is in the subject of the next.
Well, yeah, the first part of mastering is the programming of the tracks. Which order should they go in? That's why the little sort of train timetable that Bree showed you earlier on, where we're working out how it goes. And it's funny because a story starts emerging and you get different parts. I almost feel like it's a musical. We should do it on stage with jazz hands. And,
yeah, it does feel like a cohesive journey, though.
Well, that's, you don't know that until it's done.
No.
You don't really know, but you get the vague idea, this sort of vaguely makes sense. And then, I don't know if it's just, confirmation bias or whatever, but the more I listen to it, the more I think, yeah, this kind of makes sense. But that's the first stage of mastering, I think, is how do you arrange these tracks. I always used to love the Bob Katz's book, The Art and Science of Mastering. He has a whole chapter about how do you program your tracks in an album, and it's a really interesting sort of art, really, how to put them together, how to make things flow. We have kind of intentionally done it so that it feels like a side A and a side B with a quiet track at the end, because as you know, the speed of the needle at the end of a vinyl 12-inch album is going slower on the last track, so it's always good to put something quiet there, and so I always do that. And you're going to be interviewing someone next week about... I am.
It's a bit of a surprise. Maybe we'll tease it at the end.
Not now?
No, not now. We're going to talk about that at the end. We've got lots of other things to share first.
Things, but I don't... Anyway, so there's one more bit of video, I think.
Is
this it?
This is it. This is the mastering.
So this is a little bit of the mastering. So apologies for all of you proper technicians out there who know what you're doing. This is what I did. Just been mastering the album. This is currently the track list. Just finished the first sort of attempt at it. So I've never mastered in Reaper before, so I'm just going to show you what I do when I for example, just drop one track in. So I'll just make that big so you can see. So there's a track that I've just dropped in. That's a 24-bit, 48 kilohertz WAV of Always On, unmastered. I have done a little bit of limiting and compression before we get here, but only up to a certain point, just to get it sounding sort of solid enough. I haven't gone very far with that. I want to do the rest of that, getting it sounding as good as possible in this final stage so that everything sort of comes up together. Anyway, you drop a file into your project. The first thing you want to do is press Command and then double click. This gives us this loop point around the top of the file. And then we press Shift and right click and we go Create Region from Selection. So that gives us this region at the top. And then finally we press Shift and double click in the region and we can name it. So it's track, let's call it track 13, Always On. I've done the same thing for each of these tracks. I've also done the random color for each track here. The reason we've got these regions is because when I come to render this, I can render each region independently, so we can get individual WAVs of each track by themselves. So it's when you go to render project, go over here, you go render all project regions, and then you've got wildcards, so you can get it to name each file it spits out the same as the regions are named. So it just saves a lot of time trying to work out what's going on. Anyway, so my mastering chain that I've got at the moment is at the end, it's very simple. I've got Event Horizon, which is one of the proprietary plugins with Reaper, and this is just for -2.5 on it's going into the thing, and a -1.9 ceiling. And then after Event Horizon, the reason Event Horizon's there is because I think it does a little bit of almost soft clipping, giving a little bit of tiny bit of distortion, just a little bit of warmth there. And then we've got Relimit, which is the proprietary limiting plugin with Reaper. That's on the final mix bus. Each track has got a little chain going on. So this is the first track. Here we go. So we've got a little EQ. Generally, I hope to only cut at this stage, so as you can see it's mostly cutting. There's a little boost at the top there, so I'm slightly cheating, but the idea is to just identify areas that are just getting in the way of themselves and being a little bit muddy and just pop them out. Then we've got Re-X Comp after the equalizer, and this is a multi-band compressor. I don't use a lot here. I'm literally, the threshold's only like -6.4 maximum here. What this does is it's a little bit like EQ, but it tends to tighten up the bass. You can move these regions around, and this just helps things get a little bit more solid. For the title track, Compulsory Games, there's a little bit more. Bring them in. So it's not much. I'm not doing much to the track, but what I'm trying to do is to make it as clear and punchy and wide and all those nice adjectives we use when we were talking about music that sounds nice. So that's Re-X Comp. So equalizer and a bit of equalization, a bit of compression. And then I've got a little bit of stereo messing around with. And the way you do this in Reaper, because I don't have a plugin for controlling the stereo of the bass, you add the mid-side encoder, then you put Re-EQ, and then the mid-side decoder. And what you have to do here is click on this thing here, which is the pinout on the EQ, and we turn off the input for left and we turn off the output for left, because what the mid-side encoder does is it, instead of going left and right stereo channels, it goes left becomes mid and right becomes side. Do you see what I mean? This has the effect of, we can adjust the amount of stereo that's going on across the frequency spectrum. So this EQ is no longer adjusting the volume of the bass and the treble, it's adjusting the stereo-ness of the bass and the treble. The fact that this is cut here, what this does, if you want to give the low end a little bit more punch and solidity, to try and make it as mono as you can. Not completely mono, sometimes a little bit of stereo bass is quite nice. If you're going to be mastering for vinyl as well, I believe that it's very good to keep the low end as mono-ish as you can, because that's the kind of thing that can cause needles to jump out and fly all over the place. And then finally, I didn't do it on Cut Off the Head because that was kind of my
start off track, but then I've got an instance of event horizon on each track. Now some of them it's very small, so for Compulsory Games it's minus 1.8 dB. I'm not even using it in Surface Economy because that's loud enough. So what I'm doing is I'm just looking to see if I can get everything in sort of the range that we want. And the way I do that, I've got this little tab up here which is monitor effects, and I've got some things here. So I've got a VU meter. So this is a peak meter which shows me where the peak's going. So just basically when you add a track you want to get it sort of up to about there so that you're not crashing into over zero. And then you got a spectrum analyzer and a stereoscope to see how in phase or out of phase your music is. And then finally, very important and very useful is this free Ulean loudness meter. So it's I'll just reset it here. This is our LUF meter, so it's our loudness units are being measured, and we get this lovely graph which you can zoom in and out of. So we've got short-term LUFs, integrated LUFs, and this is the number we're sort of looking at. So for YouTube, you're supposed to aim for minus 14. For music, it's somewhere between minus 10 and minus 8. And these are all to do with how dynamic the piece of music is. And it gives you your true peak max. I seem to have gone over slightly because I want to keep that at -1 for various encoding reasons. Because obviously this is 24-bit. 48 kilohertz. So when I come to render this to be turned into a CD, it's going to have to go to 16-bit 44.1 kilohertz. And when we do that, we're going to be you want to keep a little bit of headroom because it can sometimes cause some kind of distortion issues. Finally, when I do render, I'm going to, so obviously you choose where you're going to put it. You tell the computer what you want to call your files. If you're doing the whole thing, obviously project region is a way of doing it. I'm going to use this Rate Brain free highest quality fast encoder which does automatic dithering. What dithering is it adds a very tiny bit of noise that's below audible range, but it has the effect of smoothing off any sort of aliasing or distortion of various sorts going on as you transcode from one bit depth or sample rate to another. Some people even do dithering when they're doing a render from the same sample rate to the same sample rate, but I don't do that. We've got to listen to this now on everything we can think of and take it everywhere we can. Listening to it on headphones, listening to it in the garden, listening to it on speakers, listening to it on these, listening to it on the Genelecs. I've been listening to it on these. These are the headphones that I've basically stuck with for mastering because I'm going to be hopefully reviewing these soon. They're very good. Planar magnetic headphones, so they're very flat and you can sort of hear everything. Very useful in the mid-range. So there we go. That's what I've been doing. Hope that helps.
What a cheeky sod.
Well, there's a lot of appreciation for all this behind-the-scenes stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mokker stuff and Steve, Dilip Funbar, Andy and Andy. Two of our Andys, thank you guys, all saying, this behind-the-scenes stuff is priceless. It's just one way of doing it, but, it's arrived at through a lot of exploration and listening, and it's... Yeah,
totally. I just want to say thank you very much, Coffee Jesus, for saying, could you hit like, please?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you very much to Wagyu and Warren Harrison for the super chats. We are touched.
Yes, thank you. That's so kind of you. I don't know, YouTube doesn't ever seem to give us any money.
We haven't reached the threshold yet, that's why. So keep liking and sharing.
Apropos of that, if you have bought the album, you will notice there's a download code inside. Now, you do get a download anyway from Bandcamp.
Yeah.
The purpose of that download code is that we would love it if you would share it with someone that you think would like it, because we just want more people to hear this album. It's very difficult.
We're at the limits of how many people we can reach and the time and money that we can invest in it, and it's amazing the response that we've been able to gather on our own. But you guys being our amplifiers would be even better. You'd be able to share it with more people anyone you think would enjoy a track or the whole thing.
Yeah, and it's not old news, it's new. It came out
it's new
today. so yeah, thank you. If you can do that, that'd be wonderful. But smash the
And
like button.
thank
and
you
do
to-
subscribe if you haven't subscribed.
Yeah.
Subscribe to our channel.
Well,
and-
actually, should we have a little look at the Boo
do we? What are we
page
doing?
just
Okay,
briefly if
okay,
you
okay.
cut to it? So
yeah.
I'll show the subscribe page first. Or will I? Yes, I will. So you get special messages from us, earlier notices than the general public receive, special videos. We break down songs. We share stems. We're going to share some more stems soon. And also you get...
we might even, in fact, we almost certainly will. We're going to share the tracks that didn't make it, and that's a full 6 tracks that didn't make it onto the album.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing that. I'll just stick us
And
in
you
there
get
so you can see us. Hello.
all of these EPs we've released that only the boosters get, unreleased stuff as well. So it's and it's like what, £3 a month or something. And you also get all our releases as they come out and 10% off merch. So
Go
it's
ahead.
pretty
And
cool.
another brilliant thing with the boosters, so we've been putting the stems in there, and we've had some lovely remixes. And that's another thing. Is if you can join the Discord, because if you do join our Discord, and I think it's free to anyone.
It's free to anyone to join the Discord.
It's
bit.ly/Boo Discord with capital Boo.
Yeah, so if you go
I
on
better put
there
that link
and
in.
you go into, I think there's a remix tab in the Discord. It's we've got some lovely remixes in there. Yeah, they're really nice. And off the top of my head, because I'm an old man who can't remember anything anymore, I can't remember who they're by. So
I'm going to share some of those. Those
them.
people at the end of the thing. It's
Do that.
Boo Discord, all lowercase. bit.ly/Boo Discord.
So get involved and get in there. There's lots of lovely stuff for you to have, and you can just sort of go for it.
Speaking of stuff to have, go back to my screen. Briefly.
Well, yeah.
We've got new merch. We've made new T-shirts. We've got a
look at
Compulsory
that.
Games T-shirt
that's nice.
in blue.
Oh, I want one.
Or in black.
Oh, I want that one.
Leatherette style.
I want them both.
Oh, how can you choose? And then the artwork from the interior here as well.
On a mug.
This lovely image on a mug. Actually, we should talk about this artwork very briefly.
Mm-hmm.
What was your brief to me for creating that?
Oh, yeah. I said, could you make it a game that kind of evolves and changes as it goes through? There we go. And that was the result of that brief.
Yes.
Notice the upside down crown.
Yes.
There you go. There's a very
important
distinct
motif.
message coming through there.
Actually, we had a couple of questions about the artwork. I'll answer those quickly. Artwork, Sonar Freak. Did I miss the explanation of the key in the artwork? No, you didn't. It's weird. It comes from a lot of things, and like with songs and anything you make, all bits of you go into it. It's got an obvious meaning, which is about the key to our own freedom lies within, sort of thing. We can all harness that and find our own freedom.
Might eat one of these eyeballs.
Go on, while I waffle on about
Go for it.
artsy meanings.
I'll tell you what it's like.
But it's also got loads of weird... Go on. Is that a good face or a bad face? It's a bad face.
It's so big. It's
so
like
big.
I'm a celebrity. Sorry.
Is it?
Crunching
what's
noises.
the flavour like?
It's good.
Okay. But yeah, it's a bit of a recurring image for me. Many years ago, I had a dream. I wish I could find the drawing I did after I had this dream. It was a picture of Ziggy Stardust era David Bowie in a cage, and he says, "I'm David Bowie and I'm in a cage." And he had a key. He'd swallowed the key and it was inside him. And I think I referred to that in Passing Places as well.
Yes.
You've made a cage for yourself and you swallowed the key.
Mm.
It actually came from a dream, and a lot of the imagery that I write about comes from my dreams and always has. So yeah, that's where the key comes from.
As I said, I've got a theory about the artwork.
Yeah.
When I looked at it, it's the black or the dark blue night sky with a black bird flying towards you, and it's the black bird of doom, and it's nighttime, and inside it is the key, and it's the thing is that the problems and the disasters and the horror and the terrible things that happen in life all have their solution inside
Embedded.
them, and it's their key, the golden key that will
was it.
reveal your freedom.
Yeah. It's the similar thing for me as well.
Yeah.
And it's that thing of, when you undergo hardship and go through things, you realize you have to find the resources within yourself to move through them, or you will perish.
Yeah.
So we all have the answers, though, as the upside of that.
Let's keep it all happy, darling.
Steve Wilkins said, why the mastermind image for the album cover? Why?
It
just fit.
popped into my head.
We were thinking about games and compulsory games and, these performances you have to play. And part of you didn't mention about compulsory games is, yes, it's this thing that we had to go through in school. But I think about it as well as these rituals that play out through adult life as well, where you're stuck in these sort of high school settings and dramas in the workplace and beyond. And it just chimed with compulsory games.
There's a certain amount of political commentary there as well. Let's keep it clean. I was just going to show you something. So, Andy Mack, thank you. If you're still there, Andy, I know it's a long show. Are you still there? Hello? I'm just going to share this. Is that okay to share this?
Yeah.
So, Andy, as I said, played the album on his beautiful LS5s. And actually, Matt Hodson, I think
he's in the chat.
He's in the chat. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Great gig last week, by the way. Still throbbing from it. It was beautiful.
It was great.
So he'd been listening. Andy Mack had been listening to this on his LS5s, and he gave me notes. And here are the notes. So, oh, hello. What have I done?
It's a touch screen. It's made it weird.
Stop. Pause. So yeah, no. Why can't I zoom in?
Oh God. Why is it bringing up the help? This is an Asus, by the way. Don't ever buy an Asus laptop.
Asus has ass in the title. The clue is there. So there's all the notes. So half the DB shelf there, and it's beautiful. Those are the fantastic notes that I got, and that was the first set of notes through the thing. So there's a little bit of stuff there. So it was a little bit of back and forth and like sort of I don't know. Anyway, there you go. That's a little bit of stuff.
It was a whole process.
Yeah, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, I'm just having a little look at further questions, but we do have a video question as well.
We do. Video questions coming in right up. Here we are. And it's, who is it?
Andrew.
Another Andrew.
Which Andrew will it be?
Hi, Bridget and Chris. It's Andrew here. My question is that when you're in the studio and you're producing the individual songs, to what extent are you thinking about the practicalities of how you're going to perform these live? And does that then reflect back into your decision-making process on the songs themselves? Congratulations on the release of your new album, and can't wait for the BOOcast on Tuesday.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Yeah, great question. The short answer is sort of no, but occasionally, yeah, there is. Often we'll stick a solo in where there's no singing, and I often think, well, that's for you to play. You do that.
Yeah.
But that's about it. But I've actually just been playing with this. So you saw how we play live, which is we use those two Akai things, and we basically run stems and one shots and things like that. Well, I just had the opportunity to, in fact, the review is up on Sonic. Oh, I've broken it. The review is up on Sonic State right now.
It was plugged into a charger and the charger fell off the table.
Yeah. Here we go. So this little thing.
I turned off the autofocus.
Okay, turned off the autofocus. That's the 1010 Nanobox Tangerine. It's a very pricey little thing. I'm very lucky to have had some time with it. May have to send it back. But this is incredible. Sort of 4 gigabytes of streaming straight from disc and stereo, one shots, and it can multi-sample your synthesizer automatically with up to 16 levels of velocity. It's quite magnificent, even though it's so tiny and very, very expensive. But toying with the idea of using something like that to play live with. So, I mean, in that sense, we have no qualms about cheating because we're more of the we're less from the jazz, Gaz Williams school of I want to play everything live. I'm a live performer.
Which is a good approach.
It's a good approach.
I love that approach.
It is only one approach, though. And our approach is more like, I'd like to be able to be free to just perform the bits that I've decided I want to perform. And it's more of a sort of art school thing. I see electronic music as a sort of, I mean, it can be anything, and music can be anything. It's fine. And the way we do it is we will grab bits we can't possibly play. I mean, some of it's sequenced anyway. I don't see any cheating involved in hitting a button on the sequencer. So then why not just have that as a stem? Hit the button on the sample playback and do that. So occasionally, there are things. I mean, I'm currently using the Op6 to fake the sounds of most of the polysynths in here, and it's doing a really good job. It's a really good little synth. Once again, the Op6, brilliant. I think that was the first synth of the month we did, wasn't it? Yes, it was.
Yeah,
back in BOOcast number 1. Go back and check it, guys.
It's a great thing.
But yeah, the whole thing about, do we think about it? No. Literally, the song reveals itself to us, shows us what it wants, and we try and get it to do as much as it can.
Conversely, I have thought at times it would be nice to approach creating an album in a live style by restricting ourselves to maybe 4 synths and
4?
yeah, like really limiting
No,
our
that's
selection.
That's not limited. 1.
1, okay.
See,
and
when
then
I
just
first made music, I mean, I had the SH1 and a Porter Studio, a Tascam 114. I later had a 244. Is it 244? And they've all gone by the terrible, sad story about the 244, which I shared with. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. My brain's shot.
what happened to the 244?
Oh, it broke. A friend fried the first channel, and I took it to an old guy who was an electronic fixer guy who lived around the corner from the Duke of York Cinema in Brighton, and then I lost my job and I didn't have enough money to get it back, and it's probably still there. The guy's probably dead by now, and who knows got it. But yeah, so I always used to 4 tracks is a great thing. I've considered the idea of 4 tracks.
Yeah. 4 tracks. That's probably what I meant, not 4 synths.
Yeah. But once you can get in and edit things, it's very difficult to go back.
It's a good starting place to go from, though. I just like, and also, the idea of approaching stuff from a playing live perspective. We were lucky we got to play a few of these songs. When we're developing an album, certain songs come out more quickly, and we do usually practice those for gigs as we go. And it's nice because you kind of hone them and find the essence of them through performing them live or just practicing them.
Yeah.
Whereas normally when we're creating a song,
I'm just seeing that
the process is
Technomatic
shorter.
is saying that the bitbox is better as it has more outs. And I know what you're doing, Simon. I know what you're doing. And I noticed your mention about 4 speakers earlier on.
You didn't rise to it, though. That's what's important, baby.
I'm better now. I'm fine. Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to click over here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what have we got?
Well, I don't know.
We've got another question. Oh, yeah, we do. We've got a question from Adrian. Thank you guys for sending in all these questions.
Hey, what is that question?
I'll let Chris load that. And I'll look at some.
Whoa, that's a good one.
What song or album inspired you both to make music? It's no one song or album for me. I just I've always loved music. I've grown up with music. It's probably the same for you. And just yearned to experience that myself.
My first foray into electronic music was I had an acoustic guitar and I put a 9-volt battery across it thinking something would happen. But the first music I heard that was electronic was my mum had. I may have said this before. Apologies if you've heard it before. As Morrissey says, stop me if you've heard this one before. Sorry for referencing Morrissey. If any of you are now triggered, apologies. Yes, she had a compilation of Bach's greatest hits, and the last track on side 2 was Wendy Carlos Toccata and Fugue in D minor, and that stayed with me, and still stays with me as a sort of, I had no idea what a synthesizer was. I was just listening to all these tiny, beautifully separated sounds with loads and loads of character, and it was visual. It was just like this puffy little blue things, and suddenly these massive bricky orange things, and there's I was one of those kids. I used to, in fact, my mum would be watching TV, and I'd have the headphones on, and I'd lie underneath the television table listening to, Kraftwerk, and also listening to Peter Gabriel's live album. I guess that, there's some good albums. One of the big things that my mum and dad both introduced me to as well was Linton Kwesi Johnson and dub music, and I really love that kind of the sound of the studio that you get from those tracks where it's like, loads of and you're listening to the sound of a studio. That's very electronic, very up my street, so to speak. And then obviously Kraftwerk I've always loved since I was a kid. I started making music with my friend Chris Philcox. I don't know if you're there, Chris. You may not be, but we had Casio VL1s each. And we got a tape recorder, and we both had tape recorders, and we did back-to-back double tracking, record something on this one, play that one back, and play over the top of it here. I still got the recordings. Maybe I should put them in the...
Whoa, yeah.
Would you like to hear my first...
my God, yeah,
when I was 11.
Can you say what the name of your band was? Because I love it.
We were called Eurostyle.
Like the font.
Named after the font. We were such nerds.
So cool.
And the first track was called Tubeway, because obviously we were thinking about Gary Newman. I would say Gary Newman was amazing, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So it's like when that first came out.
Yeah.
And everything. I don't know if there's any one track that really did it for me. And I love lots of different types of music, and there's all kinds of joy out there. We were listening to Chet Baker on those beautiful speakers, and again, there's something about those early 50s recordings which are sort of like one microphone in a room, and you can, I still regard that as a, pinnacle of recording technique. It's just amazing, the vibe and the stuff that comes out of that. I also, it's intertwined for me with the whole shebang of recording music. What does it mean to record it? To capture a performance, to thing it. And it's funny now because we're using sequencers and synthesizers and we're doing it, but a lot of the stuff we do is played live, and a lot of the stuff we do is about trying to keep that the rough edges in there together. So many great bands.
I guess, and for me, I feel like I should say, I always... I got to grow up with a lot of classical music. My sister and I would dance around the living room, and we'd go to our stage marks. We'd say stage mark and go to the corner of the room. Then we'd just go nuts dancing to like Tchaikovsky and all sorts of Vivaldi and brilliant classical music.
We had a couple of terrible drunk nights listening to it many years ago.
Kate Bush. And
I'm shocked by the volume we'd play Beethoven.
Oh God, that was amazing though.
I'm glad we didn't leave.
Beethoven's Fifth.
I'm glad we left that flat actually, because I don't think we could ever show our face again.
But yeah, I grew up with a lot of classical music, a lot of soul music, a lot of brilliant jazz, great singers like Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, doo-wop stuff, 50s rock and roll. I was an insanely huge Beatles fan when I was about 9. I was obsessed. Ringo was my favorite. And someone just mentioned Tomito. I mean, one of the most beautiful things that happened to us just before lockdown is I finally got a vinyl copy of Dawn Chorus, which is all done on basically prototype Casio CZ series synths, and that. And it's we turned all the lights off, and we had our glowing radiation uranium glass glowing in the corner cabinet, and we just lay there, and it was just beautiful. Tomito. And actually the first, so when I
nice one, Warren, you're
when
right.
I first approached making music, I wanted to do piano, especially. I just really wanted to be able to play the songs that I heard on the piano. Although I had grown up singing with my sister, we had a golden era of pop music, if you ask me. I think the 90s were great. Britney Spears, come on, she was brilliant.
It was all written by Benny.
That was loads of great stuff.
Benny from ABBA.
Roll your eyes if you want.
No, Benny from ABBA wrote those.
That's right.
I share a birthday with Benny from ABBA, so I have a very...
so although we grew up singing, to making music was I wanted to play piano. So I went to the library in Sydney to get sheet music and try and figure out how to read it line by line myself. And I slowly started learning the Well-Tempered Clavier by Bach and a Bowie track. I think it was one of the ones where Rick Wakeman does amazing
Life on Mars.
It wasn't Life on Mars, it was the other one. But yeah. Anyway, that was it. But it wasn't until I met Chris where he was like...
Well, what was the first band that really connected us? And it was, guess what? Cardiacs.
Yes. And Pixies.
And Pixies. But Cardiacs was, Tim Smith, Just amazing. And one particular track, Dirty Boy, which is on
Yeah,
Sing
that
to
was
God
a huge
album,
connection for
it was
us.
huge. We tried to do a cover version of Nurses Whispering Verses. It's
Yeah.
still there. It's
One
still
day
still
we'll
on
do
the hard
that.
drive somewhere.
But I was coming to a point.
I'm so sorry.
And my point was, it wasn't until you said to me, "You've got a beautiful voice, you should sing," that I kind of thought, oh, really? I can sing other than to myself? And because I'd only just considered playing, because I loved playing and just hearing and feeling the music was enough. But when I met you and you were like, you should sing, I was like,
and you
can
do,
I?
And you do have a beautiful voice.
Well, well,
So-
thank you. And I love singing. And to all of you people out there who think
Yeah.
you're not singers, you are singers. You are all capable of singing. And there's a lot of psychological stuff that people get told about. You're not creative. You're not a singer. You're not this and that. Don't believe it. You can harness these skills. We're all born screaming and yodeling and making all sorts of crazy sounds. We're capable of that, from infancy, and you can uncover those things within yourself. So yeah, don't be disheartened if you think you're not anything creative. I'm here to tell you, you are.
This has been a public service announcement for all you singers out there. We've got one more question here. So was there a particularly memorable mistake, moment of spontaneity during the writing recording process where you went, oh, but wait, and that moment was so cool that it flung you joyously into something even more exciting because of it? Now, that's an interesting question, because I'd say that is just about every single thing we do is that, because very rarely, or in fact, never does an idea, or maybe once in my whole life, does an idea come and you just do it and it's happened and it does that. There's always like struggling to get through things and work them out. I mean, as we said, Cut Off the Head was a mess. It was terrible. And it was just a question of like accidentally, randomly playing a different bass part on the Dominion that made me go, oh yeah, hold on. Wait. This is good now. It's just like that, and then it throws you off, and you follow that little rabbit down where it's going, and you find.
I find
what's
sometimes
wanted.
as well it comes from a place of more dissatisfaction, like, oh, I like what's here, but it needs to do something here, it needs to do something else, and then you try loads of different things, and then it might be, none of this is working, then suddenly it'll just work, and it's like, yes, I have a path. It's like looking for a path with a torch in the dark.
Yeah.
And you follow it.
Yeah.
You have to follow it.
And also, I mean, like, so Obelisk was about you were singing about someone at work.
Yeah.
Or you were just actually Service Economy was again some terrible work.
My angry
experience.
songs.
Just getting angry and just going, and then it just stuck together to something else, just totally out of the blue. And went, oh, hello, that's good. Followed that. I hope that answered your question. It's difficult to think of specific examples because it literally happens all the time because of the way we do things.
It's just the process.
We never, it's just the way it works.
I got lots more questions from the chat, and actually I haven't been able to keep up with the ones at the bottom.
Crikey,
but
nor have I.
let's see. Wagyu says escalators on the underground always make me think of An American Werewolf in London. Great film. We just watched that again recently.
Yes, we did. Wasn't
It's
it
so
brilliant?
good. And actually, that made me think something we just rewatched last night. An amazing documentary. If you've never seen it, Ghosts on the Underground.
Oh yes,
it is beautifully
it's on
shot.
YouTube now. The interesting thing is they obviously Channel 5 did this documentary and they must have licensed the music, and then only had it for a year. So they've kind of the YouTube version that's in high quality has the wrong music on it. They've done a good job of faking the music, but there's all kinds of brilliant music on the original. So what I did was I ripped them both and stole the soundtrack from the first one and managed to paste it on top of the better quality one. So we watched that last night. It's a beautiful. The Underground.
It's basically
Back to the
interviews.
Tube.
It's interviews with people who work on the London Underground and their strange otherworldly experiences. And it's so good because they're all just guys doing their job, and they're like,
I really miss the London accents as well, because I mean, being brought up in London, I'm not a big fan of the Sussex accents because I don't know. I'm not going to say anything mean about them because we live here now, but I just really like London accents.
they're
All the
lovely.
various London accents
But
are
this
great.
is beautifully shot as well. It really showcases the beauty of London's underground stations. So
Yeah,
definitely
let's have a look
check
at
it
those
out.
questions, and then I think we're going to have to get out of here.
I know. There's a lot of questions we've got to answer.
Crikey.
So Peter said, "Is All That Rises Must Converge the
Peter?
longest track?" Yeah, Peter
Peter?
in the chat.
Hello,
is it
Peter.
the longest track that you've ever done? All That Rises Must Converge.
Now, Peter, first of all, thank you for not accusing me of copying you, because you have a very long track at the end of your last album. I don't
I think
know.
it is the long.
Well, it's certainly the longest one we've
It'll
released.
be Observatory.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think it's about 6.5 minutes.
No,
though, that one,
it's
isn't it?
about 15 minutes.
Oh, is it? That's the.
There is a 15-minute track on Observatory, which is for free
little
on our
EP
Bandcamp.
EP from a few years
It's
ago.
just a random thing. But no, it is. It's longer than usual. We generally make pop songs.
What is the shortest track?
Shortest track.
Piff, probably Piff,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is the bonus track on Incomplete Until Broken.
There may be shorter. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Is that
I'll try
about-
and run through these quickly then.
About 40 seconds long, that one.
Yeah. Andy N says he's been playing around with a remix of All That Rises Must Converge.
Oh,
Do share it on the Discord. We'd love seeing what you guys do with
I mean,
stuff.
is it too early to share the stems?
I'm about to come to that.
Okay.
Actually, might as well come to that now. No, we'll answer all the questions.
Crikey.
There's so much. Okay, Stefan says nightclub misstep is perfect for the car. I arrived at work much more quickly than usual.
Oh, dear. I'm going to cause some accidents. Sorry.
Sound Inhaler has a thing for unbecoming at the Mo, which leads me into my final thing. Although there are other questions. Unbecoming is our next single. And next BOOcast, i.e. next Monday, we're going to be premiering. We're going to premiere the new music video here on the BOOcast and share a bit about the making of that. But it's out this Friday as a single on Bandcamp Friday with remixes from X-Key Music and Petra Black.
Yes.
And so definitely
great remixes.
check that out. And I also wanted to share, because it's Bandcamp Friday, Booster Sinners Music has a new album out as well. I'm going to put the links to these in the chat.
Yep.
Warren Harrison has an album out. He says his brother and he started playing in 1986 as teenagers and played around with the synth pop electronic wasteland of Midwest America through the early 90s, took a 30-year break and started back up again in 2021.
Awesome.
It's really cool. So I've got a link to that. I'll put these in the chat.
I think it's great. I think I've heard some of it. Is it there?
You're thinking of John Birch, who's the other guy.
John Birch, sorry. Yes.
Julian and John in Bath have rekindled their synth pop project from 1981
So
called The Upside Down Clinic.
Yeah.
And it's just great synth pop.
It's really good.
So I'm going to put these Bandcamp recommendations in the chat quickly. Maybe you can answer these questions while I do that.
In fact, John Birch has put. If you go to our Discord, there's a remix of. It was Cresshead who wanted to remix
We Are Ghosts.
We Are Ghosts, which is the second to last track on our last album, Yesterday, Tomorrow and You, and he's working on that now. And we put the stems up, and we've had some remixes back already, and they're there in the Discord for you to listen to if you want to check them out. They're really good. So let's have a look at this. Mokkers, how often? I can't read your writing.
Sorry, it's
how
pretty
often
rough.
how often did the track
order change?
You see, we had 6 tracks that were going to be in the album, and one of those 6 tracks was going to be the first track, which is a very big thing. And it's a good track, but I don't know. It was really weird that nothing seemed to be working. I don't even remember me being terribly miserable a couple of months ago. Nothing seemed to be working until we removed the things that didn't need to be there, and then it all fell into place. So I'd say once we got rid of the ones that
I think that and Sink Inside, they were both very close to being complete, but they were kind of not sitting with everything.
There's also Jackdaw.
And and Jackdaw.
And Training Wheels, which is a work. It's not even a title. I Don't Care If You Like Me. Ironside's
great.
And This Is Not the End was going to be the beginning of the track, but they didn't make it. But
the track order changed quite a few times.
Well, it changed. I know it changed about 2 or 3 times once we'd got rid of those. So that's a big change, deciding what to leave out. So yeah, but once we'd arrived at it, it was like, okay, good.
One little point of trivia I just wanted to share. James said that many years ago there was an attempt to cut a record in reverse so that the crescendo had space to move.
Oh, right, with classical music.
Yeah.
So you get the loud bit at the end.
Yeah.
Did that work?
Yeah,
Did
I
they
didn't
do that?
know about that.
I suppose people would. So you have the spiral going the other way and put your needle in the middle. Oh.
Which reminds me of one other special reason to tune into BOOcast next week, which Chris has been itching to share for ages and he keeps saying, no, you can't say it yet.
What is it? Oh, yes.
We're going to be interviewing...
This is good. This is amazing news, okay? We're ending with the best thing ever. Go.
There is a new vinyl pressing plant opening near Edinburgh.
It's the first and only pressing plant in Scotland. And it's opening this month.
It's called Seabass Music.
Check them out.
And amazingly enough, my sister, the vinyl extraordinaire that she is working there. So I'm going to be interviewing her and getting a bit of insider info and the scoop and the lowdown on Seabass vinyl, which we can't wait to hear more about.
Can I say a little thing about Seabass? So, you know, the most minimum press you can do is 300, maybe 500, whatever. Seabass vinyl have set it at 100 units, and they to quote, I think I may be misquoting, they said, we want buskers to be able to cut some vinyl here.
Yeah, the whole thing is they want to support independent music makers and make it so that they can get their own vinyl made.
Come on,
because it's been really hard for the past few years.
It's great news, isn't it?
So, yeah.
And they've already got like loads of labels flying to them from the UK. So this is big news. A new pressing plant happening.
Their website's already up and running.
You're going to share the website?
Yeah, I should just
do that. So
find it.
Yeah, we're really excited. So Bree's sister, hello Benita, and congratulations on what a brilliant place to be. And what an exciting thing to share with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and we know someone that works there.
All the stuff for next Monday. So do join us next Monday. New single video.
Yes.
But, you know, info about Seabass, more exciting stuff than you can shake a stick at, as is customary with BOOcast.
Yes. And I just want to say thank you very much all for joining us. We've gone slightly over tonight. I don't know how much over.
Well, it's a special celebration and it's Halloween. We could go to midnight if we wanted.
No. We can't go too far.
But thank you for being here during the whole process, for being here now live with us, celebrating at the culmination of all of this.
Yeah. And thanks for buying the album, and thanks for being.
If
you've been watching the BOOcast since the beginning, you've seen this whole journey, and it's quite an incredible journey.
Yeah.
And we feel like we've really we're really happy with what we've done. Once again, I just want to remind you, if you've got that album, that code is for you to share with someone, and if you like it, please tell as many people as you can. It's just us two, really. Yeah. And if you want to be on board and help, do. And if you've got anything you want to share, we'll share it as well.
Yeah.
So let's help each other.
So have a wonderful Bandcamp Friday this Friday. We're looking forward to sharing these remixes from Unbecoming with you.
Yeah.
And thanks for being
with us. Thanks for all the comments. I'm
journey.
So sorry. I mean, got an iPad secondhand especially to read the comments, and I've just not paid much attention.
Well,
so
you've been
clip
launching like a maniac tonight, so thank you.
Mr. Tape Op here.
I gave you a million clips.
Hey, I'm in on the ground floor. I was making tea last month. Now I'm Tape Op.
Cocktails and Tape Op.
All right, so we're going to say goodbye. We're going to leave you with a little bit of footage. And
thank you. Thanks for being here. And
thank you.
Love you guys. Happy Halloween.
We really do. And we're chuffed.
We're chuffed.
We're chuffed.
Take
care.
Guys.
Bye-bye.